new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Pull up your pants, take out the trash, in your cash like I'm fast, like I'm girl. You wanna act like it then? Security codes on everything, on vibrate, so your phone don't never ring. One account and another one he don't know about. Wish we could switch up the roles, and I could be there. Tell you I love you, but when you call, I never get back. Would you ask them questions like me, like where you be? As I'm out 4 in the morning, on the corner rolling, doing my own thing. What if I had a thing on the side, made you cry? Would the rules change up or would they still apply?
Listen, I know Sierra is not asking if I needed to treat you like a toy so that she wishes she could be like a boy. Russell Wilson is not having that. He is laying it out for her. You are locked into hour 3 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the show where we get into all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I am your host, Jill Munroe. And of course, we've been talking about, the difference in gender roles and the difference in how we approach relationships, how much image factors into how we move in a relationship, the things that we make. Andy, I want to ask you this because I had a homeboy back in the day, and there was a girl that he kind of, he liked. He was crushing on her. They weren't serious, but I think that, he was kind of feeling her. However, when his boys saw her, his homeboys, they didn't think that she was that great, and they gave him a little bit of a hard time. And I always felt like that changed how he felt about that woman, that it like knocked some of the shine off of it for her. This is when we were in our 20s, so obviously, younger, not established as far as, your own independent sort of feelings. But what are your thoughts about that? Do you think that could your friends, maybe not now because, you're an older man, but when you were like in your 20s, could your friends change your mind about a woman based on their opinion of her?
I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to say yes because, yeah, they can change my mind. But then I'm also saying no because, when I think about my 20s, I was also a private individual.
Okay.
So even some of my homies didn't even know who I was talking to, who I was dealing with. And it was because of that exact reason. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want their opinion, good or bad.
Right.
Even if it was good. I don't want you, eyeing somebody that I'm talking to.
Like, I would knock the stuffing off of that.
You know what I'm saying? So, that's why, even with the whole Stephen A. Smith that we talked about last time, I respect that. It's about protecting my feelings as well, too. You know what I'm saying? Until it's that time where, this is Mrs. Such and Such, then at this point, I don't even care what y'all think. You know what I'm saying? We are locked in together. But, in my 20s, I probably could be manipulated one way or the other. But at the same time, I always like to keep things private because at the same time, one thing I do know about women, and I'll speak in general, you guys value discretion.
Absolutely.
And, a lot of the times, women wouldn't talk to you because they would look at you and be like, man, you probably going to go run your mouth. So you can call it part of my game, even though this is just who I am. I was never the individual to run my mouth and brag anyway.
Because you would, take yourself out of contention.
Absolutely.
By talking too much.
Bada bing.
A lot of men never understood that, so they probably just, watched it sail by. That's okay.
Yep.
For some, talking about it is better than actually being involved in
because
it, I
look,
suppose.
And, you could correct me if I'm wrong or, right. Fellas, ladies are freaks too. The ladies are freaks, and they want to go ahead and be free and be open, but because of the society that we live
Patriarchy.
Patriarchy too. You know what I'm saying? We kind of look look at I don't want to use promiscuous, but a woman being free as something negative, and
I mean, but use promiscuous because that's
okay,
what it's about. I mean, I think that we have evolved as far as what we consider, I guess, appropriate. And, there's a debate on if that evolution has caused a set of problems to begin with. We have the conversations all the time about the lyrical content of some of the female rappers and
hmm
people being upset about WAP and stuff like that. But I think all of that relates directly back to and is an overcorrection of, I know, in the 90s, and we kind of have talked about this, there were good girls and then there were the so and so's, right? With an H. But and that is kind of how women were broken down, and that is how men would classify them. And even if a woman was just being a so and so with you, if you told somebody and she was opening up the essence, then all of a sudden it became like, a scarlet letter on
yeah,
her and what she would do with anybody.
hmm
So it makes things kind of complicated.
yeah, yeah,
No, these relationship things and how they move in 2023 with the advent of social media and things like that. Like, if you, because here's the thing, and I said it, I'm private. I'm not the one that is like, oh, we need a social media announcement and, oh, tag me. We got to post each other. And I'm not really that
salute.
person. But I do wonder if I would feel a way if I felt like a guy I was seeing was going out of his way to hide you, per se. I think that is the thing. We know, there's lots of reasons for that. People want to keep their options open. They might just be ashamed or, they're private. But I don't know. That's why conversation is important, right? Right.
hmm
So speaking of, we talked about it. Jeezy has filed for a divorce from Jeannie Mae, and many people are, kind of confused by it. They've only been together realistically a short amount of time, about 4 years in total. They were dating for 2 years, got married, and then been married for 2 years, have a daughter that is 1 years old, I believe. And so now he filed, which was shocking to everyone because usually you expect the woman to file, right? Men get comfortable. They're not really making too many moves. They just want to chill. And as long as they got, like, their TV and access to whatever they want, when I say that, I mean whatever their creature comforts are at home, they're good to go in theory, right? But Jeezy was the one that filed. So, according to Entertainment Tonight and People, they said that the two were constantly at war when it came to their family values and expectations. That coming from two completely different backgrounds, it was hard for them to see eye to eye in a lot of areas. They said that they had different views and each felt like their needs weren't being completely met. So, in addition to that, they said that he is more private. She's more social on social media, wanting to be out more. Her brother was also living with them. And that, her mom was pretty heavily involved in the relationship and just a different culture component. And then, based just off of the nature of their jobs and their employment, they spent a lot of time apart. So, it sort of run its course. Andy, you're looking confused. Why are you looking confused?
I'm not confused, but it just sounds like it was a whole bunch of red flags in front of their faces, and they still proceeded to go ahead with the marriage. It just sounds like they weren't equally yoked from the jump.
But sometimes is it that thing of where it feels like, oh, me and you against the world, so people get juiced off of that? Or just maybe because they were so different. At first it was intriguing, but sometimes when you get down to the crux of it and the heart of it, it's those small things, those little things. Oh my God, you leave crumbs on the counter after every meal. You drop toothpaste in the sink and you leave the toilet up, and I can't do that every day. Those are the type of things that break people up, the little things that they don't talk about or discuss. You know, I don't know how I would feel if my in laws were coming to live with me. I really don't, probably depends on the relationship I have with them, what our, home is like together. Do we have space? Do we have room? Is there still privacy allowed for us as a couple to be able to do that? Because there's a lot of different things that come layered in when you have a family member or whomever living in your situation. So, I mean, sometimes we don't talk about the little things. We just, everything else feels good. So we don't talk about the things that are going to be day to day, that are going to make the difference.
And that's what that is right there. It sounds like they didn't have enough conversations about what, their future together would look like. Because, having family move in and stuff, that to me just seems like a conversation that would have been one of the first conversations to have. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, maybe, but here's the thing, right? So let's say you and your family are extremely close, right? Like, let's say if you have a brother, your brother's your best friend, like every holiday, it's somebody's house, we're all there, we're all, locked in, right? And let's say I come from a family maybe is not as close, or they don't spend holidays together, right? So I don't trip off of holidays. I'm not, there early. But is that, maybe that's not something that you talk about right away when you're dating.
You should.
Because you're just dating, right?
That makes, I also want to know, how long did they date?
They dated for 2 years before they got married.
So y'all dated for 2 years?
And remember,
oh,
she
wow.
was married for 7 or 8 years before this relationship. And the reason why they got divorced was because the man that she was married to wanted children and she did not. But when she got with Jeezy, she wanted children, and now they're done. So, I mean, do you believe that you bring different versions of yourself to different relationships?
I think you can. I've always would talk about this, by myself. Like, I would witness, like, maybe a girl, she would be a certain way with this dude, and then, they break up, and then maybe months later down the line, she's just so open and free all of a sudden with this individual, and it had me thinking, like, well, was this always you, or, are you like this because of this new guy?
I mean, I think that one, obviously, as we evolve and take on new experiences, that's going to enhance or change certain aspects to our personality. Maybe that's what growth is about. But do you also believe, I think that different people can sometimes bring out a different version of you.
Fair enough.
There might be some aspect of your personality that's in there, but, has been suppressed maybe because, when you were a child, your parents didn't like that, or
PKs.
it wasn't, things like that, or it wasn't accepted in your area. But now, it's what I often say about transplants that move to LA, especially the ones that want to be in the entertainment industry. They come and they recreate themselves as the person that they always wanted to be. They try on different personality traits. They try out aspects that may be true to their personality, but not something that they put on Front Street for fear of ridicule or not fitting into the group, any of those things. So
True that.
I don't know. But what I do know is when we come forward, we're going to get into this Tyler Perry clip because I feel like Tyler's encouraging y'all to settle. And I don't know how I feel about that. We're going to talk about it. All of that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Los Angeles Urban League helps African American and others in underserved communities achieve true social parity, economic self-reliance, and civil rights. For over 100 years, Los Angeles Urban League has ensured our communities have access to careers with living wages, opportunities to start and grow businesses, and clear pathways to personal and professional growth. Programs like BizCamp, Construction Career Academy, Bob Business Ready, and B-Warp The Black Wealth Attainment and Retention Program are examples of the ongoing events designed to make our centennial mission to rebuild Black Wall Street right here in LA a reality. To sign up for our newsletter or to support the Los Angeles Urban League with your time, talent, and donations, visit laul.org. That's laul.org. The Los Angeles Urban League is a proud sponsor of Urban Family Focus Saturdays at 7 a.m. on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to K-Drip, where we play all the best classic water-wasting hits like Sprinklers in the Rain and Leaky Faucets. They're tunes from another time because now that we face a hotter, drier future, every drop counts. Despite an extremely wet winter, keep using less water, fixing leaks, and reusing indoor water for your garden. Visit SaveOurWater.com for more ways to conserve. Up next, brushing your teeth with the water on.
K-Drip.
Turning my pain into purpose is pretty much what I have done to start this foundation.
In August 2020, after the death of George Floyd, Bridget Floyd and other family members established the George Floyd Memorial Foundation in support of the Black community.
It's going to take more than just us as a foundation. It's going to take the community, the world, to make a change.
Fight for racial justice for the Black community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands for Unity and Healing. African Focus Incorporated is a nonprofit organization based in California that focuses on the growth and well-being of Africans all around the world. Their mission is to promote the well-being of people of African descent through knowledge and appreciation of one another by building a bridge of love and understanding. African Focus Incorporated strives for cultural, educational, and economic growth. They're the organization behind the African Family Induction Ceremony, African Goodwill Awards, African Focus Trailblazer Tours, African Dance Competition, and Showcase Los Angeles, Family Day, Good News Windows Microfinance Project, and more. To volunteer, travel with African Focus, or to attend one of their community building events, please call 310-676-7730. That's 310-676-7300. Or visit AfricanFocus.org. This is a diaspora-wide community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So let's talk about this Tyler Perry stuff. It is the after hours, so that means that we get into a little bit of things, you know. And the follow-up story that I have after this, which is related but totally separate, kind of, to me, leads to what can happen if you're accepting of situations that aren't becoming of you. Anyway, this is what Tyler Perry had to say about Black women and relationships, with them being the breadwinner in most cases.
Listen, a lot of women, especially Black women, and I might get in trouble for saying this, but I will, in our society right now, Black women are making a lot more money for the most part than Black men, right? There are a lot of Black men who are successful, but for the most part, Black women are making the money. So if you can find love, if that man works, at whatever job, and is a good man and is good to you, and honors the house and honors his wife and does what he can, because his gift may not be your gift.
Exactly.
That is okay. That's not somebody who's beneath you.
Yeah.
That's somebody who came to love you at your worth, right?
Yes.
And as long as he's secure in himself to know that, yep, she makes most of the money, all I can pay is the light bill, as long as she's comfortable enough to say, I'm going to cover the mortgage and all the other stuff, you've handled the light bill, baby, you can take me to dinner every now and then, that is fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But that's so hard for a lot of people to take in, because that means, no, I need somebody they need to make 5 times more, and I got to have, well, go on, keep your list, baby.
Yeah.
God bless you. Hope it happens. Go on, keep your list. But when you talk about just someone to love you and support you, I know people whose men can't touch what they make. But when you see them together, that love, that support, that I got you, babe, it's a beautiful thing.
So, a couple of things on that. One, realistically, and I've said this over and over again, a relationship is between two people. So what works for you and that person may not work for everybody else. And you have to do what you can to protect that union and ultimately do what works for you. I am all about that. What works for us may not be what works for couple to be over there. So I'm all about that. However, having said that, right? One, nobody wants to be in a Tyler Perry-esque movie struggle of situations. If you look at every Tyler movie, the key to salvation for these women that work so hard and have these jobs and obtained everything is some plumber or, just got through some situation where he's struggling on the come up, and that is the only way that she seems to be able to find true love. None of the men that are established in Tyler's films seem to be capable of loving women. They all seem to have those flaws, but these broken men seem to be able to do that. I don't know what the correlation is there, but there's some correlation there. Second thing is, and it's what I said before, why are women always the ones that have to settle? Why are they always the ones that have to, compromise is not settling. They are two different things, and I chose the word settle for a reason. Women are always told to settle. Always.
So break down what settling is.
Settling is I am getting involved in something or with someone that I would not otherwise, just to say I am in a relationship, or just to say, hey, I need this protection. I can't do this by myself. I was having a conversation with a friend, and we were talking about dating. And so I asked her, because this is my thing, right? People are always like, oh, lose your standards for aesthetics, or, things like that. Just date someone that makes you happy. And it's like, all of that sounds cool, right? However, at some point in time, somebody's going to want to get intimate. Somebody is going to want a physical situation to jump off. And if I am not attracted to you, that's not going to happen. And that's not a relationship, that's friendship. So if that man is cool with that, that is one thing. But I think women are always told to put their desires to the back, as if they're always being unreasonable. And men are never sort of told that what they are looking for from a woman is unreasonable. They're never given that sort of speech. And so I think that is why we see an overcorrection with women standing their ground when it comes to these topics, because historically, women have gotten the shorter end of the stick. When they are that ride or die chick, stay down, what happens? Kanye rapped about it. When he get on, he gonna leave you for a white girl. I mean, we see it time and time again. They're gonna trade you in for the upgrade or whatever. And it never seems to grow in reverse. Right? Right. That's just kind of my thoughts about that. Zakia Wright says, so many black men have odds stacked against them by design. Why should they be further penalized by women and reminded that they make less than? Listen, you were right, but black women have odds stacked against them as well. So it's just what side of the coin. I am not saying that men should be penalized. I'm saying do what works for you. But I will stand on the heel that men, right? A successful black man is never going to be told, hey, that chubby girl that loves you, and I keep using chubby because weight is a common conversation and a common complaint that we hear about within relationships from the male POV. I'm not saying you all said it. I'm not saying you all believe it. It is just a common, sort of thing that is thrown out there, right? And like Andy said, and like we all know, men aren't particular about what they smash, but I'm talking about what they're going to put on their arm and proclaim as Mrs. Boo, right? There's a difference. And for me, it's not so much about reminding them, but sometimes it's okay to say, hey, in order to ride this ride, you got to step it up. You got to be this tall, right? And I'm not talking about height. I'm just saying in general, though. I think it's okay to make those type of boundaries for you because, as I said, men are never told to settle. You are never going to see somebody tell, right, Odell Beckham Jr., Anthony Edwards, right? Or what's the guy? Zion Williamson. Nobody's going to tell Zion, you know what, Zion? I bet you there was a chubby girl that was a TA that did your homework, maybe tutored you or something like that. Give her a run. You see what these models and adult film stars are doing for you? Give one of those girls a try. Nobody's going to encourage that. No one is going to say she's going to be good for you. She's going to make sure that you got breakfast on the table. She's going to make sure that you aren't outside of your spending habits. She's going to hold you down. Nobody is going to give that advice to a successful male and say, run that. You disagree? Andy, you're looking like I'm wrong.
I don't know how to respond to that. Maybe it's the male privilege that I have.
It is the male privilege that you have. Because you think about the conversations with your friends, really, right? And maybe a guy, you know, one of your friends was really in his phase, like really in his bag, where he was dotting all over the place with women. But there was one in particular that you guys knew was good for him. But she wasn't on the baddie scale. She was one of those just at night or, dang, I need some money to cover my tuition real quick. She'll slide it to me. One of them. And nobody encourages the guy to go be with that girl.
I'm going to give my fellas maybe the benefit of the doubt. I want to push back just a tiny bit to say that I think we probably do mention those things in conversation, be like, yeah, yo, chubby chick, you know what I'm saying? She'd be cool for you, but I understand why you want to deal with dime piece over there. You know what I'm saying? We may make a comment like that, but we're not like egging them on like, no, you should be with this person. So
you get it. You get it. You know what I'm saying.
But also with the settling thing for women, so is this based off of finances only?
No, because here's the reality. When we're talking about men and women, men are usually going to have their hard stops with the aesthetic of a woman. Women are usually going to have their hard stops based around finances, not because it's necessarily their shallow points, but I think that it has to do with societal. What do women need from men? Support,
and that's
security.
Why some of us trick.
I listen.
Doesn't make it right, but that's why we do what we do.
Tricking is mutually beneficial, I think, for some. You know, she has a need, he has a need, they link up. When we come forward, we'll have more trending topics and headlines. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
I never get back. Would you ask them questions like me? Like where you be at? 'Cause I'm out 4 in the morning on the corner rolling, doing my own thing. Had a thing on the side.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden says the U.S. wants to responsibly manage its competition with China. Speaking to the UN General Assembly on Tuesday, the president said the U.S. will push back on aggression and intimidation, but will stand ready to work with China on issues where progress hinges on common efforts. A Miami-Dade County man is facing hate crime charges. Homestead's Jason Doster was arrested Sunday for allegedly robbing a man at an ATM in North Miami Beach. Police say the 42-year-old told the victim he was robbing him because he's Haitian. The Powerball jackpot is soaring with no grand prize winner in Monday night's drawing. The latest rollover means at least $672 million will be on the line come Wednesday. The cash value on that works out to just over $320 million. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Prime members save more at your Amazon Fresh store. As a Prime member, you'll save 10% on hundreds of items in store, from organic produce to pantry staples to handcrafted pizza. Head to Amazon.com/fresh locations and find a store near you.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
You are now in Big Tobacco's fantasy land. Welcome. It's a healthier world where they want you to believe that vaping makes quitting cigarettes a breeze. Never mind the evidence that vaping leads to using both. And if you're younger, even better, teens who vape are 3 times likelier to use cigarettes. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the deadliest industry is your friend.
Big Tobacco's idea of smoke-free is a dangerous fantasy for us all. See reality at undo.org.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Roll Charmin ultra strong when you drop in the beat. It cleans with way less effort on your seat. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Yeah, roll it, drop it. Charmin flows extra strong from the road. Your butt hella clean while you're sitting on the bowl. Yeah, it's all you need for that bathroom groove. Get you in and out without nothing to prove.
Charmin Ultra Strong cleans better so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCEL scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They can say whatever, I'ma do whatever. No pain is forever, yup, you know this. Tougher than a lion, ain't no need in trying. I live with a sky in, yup, you know this. Never lying, truth teller. That Rihanna rain just won't let her. All black on, black out shades, black out Maybach. I'ma rock this shit. Like
you were locked in to RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. That Jill Munroe rain just won't let up. That's what we're talking about. So listen, we have been getting into this relationship conversation kicked off by Tyler Perry's comments that, you know, the women that are making a little more money should just be more accepting of men that are in a different financial situation. And if all he can play is the light bill and you don't mind, you should go for it and be loved. Now, again, that part I am accepting of. But if that's not really what you want, why should you accept that? You know what I'm saying? Let me tell you what I came across the other day. So the other day I was perusing online, as I frequently do, and I saw a tweet that said, see what your chances are to find your dream man, right? And so the title of this page is Female Delusion Calculator, right? The website is IGotStandardsBro.com. And it says, what are the chances to find the man of my dreams? It is a live search using surveys conducted by the U.S. Census Bureau and NCHS. So basically what you would do is, and I'm doing it live right now, you pick your age range. So what age range group of men are you interested and looking for a mate in? This is your ideal person. So I'm going to put, I'm going to make it pretty broad. I'm going to put from 30 to like 55, okay? Race, you can select any color or shade. You can say white, black, or Asian. I'm black, so I'm going to say black, right? Here's a tricky one. It said, with age, are we excluding married men? I say yes. We're going to exclude married men out of the equation, right? So ages 30 to 55, not married black men. That's where we're at right now, okay? The next requirement is height. Is there a minimum height? I'm going to be generous. I'm going to go all the way down to 5'8", okay? We're going to say 5'8". So where we're at right now is a black male between the ages of 30 and 55, not married, 5'8" and up. Now, it gives you the option to exclude obese men. I'm going to exclude the obese men, okay? We gave on the height. We got to not give on something else. So we're going to put that out. Then it has a minimum income. Right now, the minimum income is sitting on $80,000. Do we think that's a fair amount? What do you guys think? Should we test that? Boy, the chat started moving a lot. So we're going to leave it at 80,000, okay? And this is IGotStandardsBro.com. And we are going to see what percentage is out there for a woman with those type of parameters, right? Based on U.S. Census Bureau. So it says my ideal man, not married, black, at least 5'8", not obese, earning at least $80,000 a year. According to statistical data, the probability that a guy of the U.S. male population ages 30 to 55 meets my standards is 0.25%. Not even 1%. That is 2.1% of all black men in that age range. Do you know what that means? That means he don't exist. That's why women are out there not trying to settle and crossing it up. Let me read some of these comments in the chat. So Aubrey Sinclair says that Odell is with a pass around if he is with Kim K. I think that's unfair. Odell could be considered a pass around too. I mean, and here's the reality too. At what point, and I get it, it's about the industry thing, but what I will say is that a lot of times and a lot of cases, men love a referral, especially when we're talking about athletes and entertainers. They almost want a woman that has dealt with someone else that they know. It's like, a rite of passage in some way, right? Well, for some at least. Urban Spinster says, it's always the women who are labeled as sluts, but who are they sleeping with? Aubrey says, it's that old story, no excuses, but no one is tallying up a man's scorecard. Now, a woman, on the other hand, everyone is keeping score. It's an unfair and unfortunate thing. I mean, this is true, but I think that it's not true that when people aren't keeping score of what men are doing. I think they are, especially nowadays. And I think sometimes it can be to a man's advantage, and sometimes it can be to a hindrance to them. But the bottom line is this. It's a lid for every pot. In theory, not according to that survey, though. It's no pots left out there for a lot of these lids. But I think that you can find what works for you. But I don't think the automatic answer is lower your standards or you're aiming too high. I think that's unfair. We don't hear that. We don't ever hear that. We hear men complaining about, oh, she wants me to spend my money. Do you know what I'm saying? Realistically, I don't feel like men have a hard time finding good women. I feel like they have a hard time maybe finding good women when they're ready to be a good man. And even then, I don't think it's really that hard. I think men can pretty much, they could have been out there baller blocking, just hitting off whatever randomly. And if they decide on a random Thursday, I think I'm ready to settle down. There'll be some woman, probably a decent woman, and I'm not even talking about aesthetics. I'm talking about as far as the quality of a woman that is ready to settle down with them and take that ride. Women, not so much. But hey. Anyway, this is sort of related, but not. A South Carolina woman has been accused of killing her boyfriend after he admitted to cheating on her. 71-year-old Henry Everett Allen was found dead with a gunshot wound to the head on September 11th. According to investigators, his 71-year-old girlfriend, Noreen Brown, was arrested as the suspect. He was found deceased in her home. The investigation revealed that the pair were in a relationship and argued after Allen admitted to being unfaithful. Did you hear the ages I said? 71 years old. It said that at some point during the dispute, Brown fatally shot Allen. She has been charged with voluntary manslaughter and possession of a weapon during a violent crime. 71? Who were you out there getting it in with? Like, what does cheating look like at 71? Are you really still out there risking life and limb for a thrill? Listen, if that is what we have to look forward to, no thank you. Speaking of advanced age and relationships, Young Miami was having a conversation with Diddy. Obviously, he's released his Love Off the Grid album, which is pretty good. Check it out, if you are into romance. And Young Miami was asked about her sex life with Diddy. When we come forward on the other side, we will let you know her response. And it's kind of not what I was expecting her to say. All of that and more, you were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, in downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right, just right. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency, all over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face when it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah, breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look. And unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So, let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California, once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at a gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event. Or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So Andy and I were just talking gender roles, and, you know, we had a conversation about if men cooking or cleaning is stereotypically what is thought of as women's stuff. But I feel like men should know how to do those things because you live alone sometimes and you got to eat. You got to be able to take care of yourself. Conversely, though, this girl, I don't want to take out the trash. I hate it. If I have to take out the garbage, it's a problem. It's not a problem. I just do not like it. It's going to get done, but that's not my preference. I would like somebody else each and every time to drag those cans out on trash day and drag them right back. I don't want to touch it. I don't want to deal with it.
Why, though? Why don't you?
Because trash is nasty. And, you know, like...
That's such a girl response.
It is. And there are things, like, here's the thing. I am I'm Bougetto, if we want to break it down. I am independent, but there are some things that I appreciate and relish a man's touch for. Like, I don't want to take out the damn trash. So please, if there's an option for me, the way that I have it set up now, the trash goes out on the day that the gardener comes. So that means what? He can take the trash out to the curb. And then on trash day, somebody else can bring it back in. I don't want to deal with it. That's just the thing. But, you know, at the same time, I have no problem, like, I mean, I'm not going to mount a TV, but I can hook up the cable stuff and the wires and do all of that and those type of things. When I was a kid and my mom would buy some furniture and stuff, my dad wouldn't put the stuff together. I would. My dad's like, I call the handyman. I don't know how to change a tire. I'm not going to do that. I'm too small. My hands are small. That stuff is in the mix. I'm going to call AAA, not because it's man's work or that a woman can't do it, but I don't want to do it. That's just the way it is with some of those things for me. Terry says, Jill, Black and Mexican men love big women. Those races of men aren't into supermodels. There are clubs like Curve where men look for big women. Some of the men are lawyers, doctors, etc. I mean, listen, there is going to be somebody that is going to like every type of thing. But having said that, generally when we have these conversations, and I say high value man jokingly, I'm really referring to public figures. So entertainers, athletes, politicians. Not that they set the bar for the average person, but these are easy topics that we can reach for, that we can use as examples that everyone is somewhat familiar with, okay? So I'm not saying that they set the standard, but if you look around and you look at the significant others of people in those positions, they too do tend to, fill a certain archetype. That doesn't mean that they all necessarily look the same, but there are some things that you generally don't see. Terry says, I'm not a Tyler Perry fan. I have a crazy amount of respect for Tyler Perry and what he built. I mean, there are conversations that can be had about quality and development, but, T. Swarns, you can't like Jill Scott and Halle Berry at once. You can, of course you can, but are you like, is your ex-girlfriend Halle and your new girlfriend Jill? Or is your ex-girlfriend Jill and your new girlfriend's Halle? You can like all types. People are attracted to all different things. I am just saying, when you look, who are you more than likely to see on, this is going to sound weird, on the persons who, not that you look up to, because we're all grown, on someone that you respect's arm. If you look back over the years and the type of relationships, and again, speaking of those type of people, not across the board, we're talking about the generalities of public figures. What do their mates look like? I don't know. You tell me. When we talk about baddies, right? There's different ranges, there's different things, but I tell you what, most people on their baddie trait list won't have, she got to have a little pudge on her tummy. It's not in there. So, again, it can be a lot of things. I'm just saying. What else is going on in this track? T. Sworn says, real talk though, I say that Cube kept it real, Snoop kept it real, Denzel as well as Magic too, with their girls and more. Why do you say that? Because they're the ones that they have been with for a while, or because they're all black women? I mean, Cube, that's a good example. Cube has been with Kim. We've never heard any. Here's the thing. We hear a lot of rumors about a lot of people and a lot of things. And it doesn't mean that it hasn't happened, but I cannot recall a time where it's ever been put out there that Cube has stepped out on his marriage. Those accusations have never been floated. Those type of things, it's not something that I'm familiar with. So, I am assuming that he doesn't do it. The reason why I bring that up is that that's not necessarily the case with some of the other people that you hear about, right? So, Snoop. Yes, Snoop kept it real, but did he? Because we know he cheated on her with a whole bunch of different women, and those women look nothing like Shantae. A lot of them are Latina. They're much, much younger, different type of thing. So I'm sure he's attracted to both in theory, but it's kind of different, right? Snoop let's say, I don't believe that Snoop is cheating anymore as far as I'm aware. Don't know. Can't really say for certain. But 1993 Snoop probably has a different palette from 2023 Snoop as far as women, you know? T. Sworn says they weren't so-called baddies, good-looking women, but not top models per se. Okay, and I can give you that. That is fair. Those are their day ones. But what they all did, right? Except for Cube, I'm not really sure. I'm going to leave him out there on an island, not saying for certain. But what they all did was go and step on to Baddie Island and spend quite a bit of time there. And it might have just been that it was cheaper to have dual citizenship in Baddie Island and homegrown talent than to take that leap of faith and, put it all away. I'm just saying, might have been cheaper to keep her, who knows? But we're talking about putting a ring on it, T. Sworn says. And that is facts. They did put a ring on it, but we also know that sometimes there are different things motivating those choices. Not saying that that was the case with any of these, but all of the examples you gave, Cookie and Magic, right? Minus Kim and Cube. But Cookie and Magic, Denzel and Pauletta, and what was the other one you gave? All had very, very rough periods. And it wasn't because the women were out there trying to figure it out and sample. It was because the men were. So, listen, this is an age-old conversation. We'll go back and forth about it forever. We'll probably talk about it again at some point. But really quick, let me tell you what Young Miami said about her sex life with Diddy. She was asked, what the experience was like. She says he doesn't sleep, that she thought she was going to get in there and take over and knock him down, and he put her in a twist and had her knocked out. Now, maybe she's just saying that for ego purposes. It might be time for a new sugar baby payment. We don't know. But that is what she put out there. So, see, you never know. Your preconceived notions about what happens with these relationships, you can meet somebody that could blow it all away. And I still stand by the fact that men are never told to settle. Men are always told to go for the Mickey Ficky gusto. Well, thank you for locking in to RSVP with Jill Munroe tonight, VIPs. Tomorrow's Wednesday, hump day, so you know what that means. Tubi movie reviews. That was a tongue twister. Of course, we'll have Trent the Artist, our Keep It Real friend, in the building, and we might just have an interview with a star of a Tubi film. We'll get into all of that. Thank you for locking in with us. When we come forward, it will be the best of KBLA. Have an amazing night, and don't settle. Always go for what you want.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the